Hey cats, Eddbud here. Got about 50 miles into the Invincible Run 3 now, and I've got a comparison for you today up against 3 other models. Similar weight, suggested use cases, and price. Here's your ultimate Invincible Run 3 versus the rest. Part 1. Thanks for tuning in, people. It is always appreciated. If it's your first time here on the channel or you're yet to do so, hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications. It really helps us out too to spread the good word. If you give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. Or anyone else for that matter. I'm on a mission to get to 1 million subscribers and you can help. Dankeschön. Okay, this is a shoe that I grabbed with my own Earth credits on release. I'm really enjoying it so far, I have to say. Picked it up for about £153 with a slight discount. That's still a lot of money for a shoe, it has to be said. Though I reckon these will go the distance if the last 2 iterations are anything to go by. The ride has changed a little bit over the initial miles, it has to be said. A little squashier than first out the box, maybe a bit of tenderizing there. Perhaps it's the increased thickness of the outsole that's actually making the shoe feel a little bit different. Just a little bit more stable than the last 2 versions. Wear-wise so far, just a little bit here on the lateral side. I have been mainly using it for sort of easier miles, so probably getting a little bit sloppy there on my foot strike. I think intentionally though the rubber isn't quite as durable here as something that we might see on the Pegasus model. Otherwise you'd not buy any more pairs of this, would you? You just get one and that will do you for a long time. I had wear though in that area on the other 2 versions of the shoe though, so I can't really complain too much. 3 shoes in the comparison today. They are the ADIDAS ADIZERO Primex Strung, the ASICS Gel Nimbus 25, and the brightest shoe on earth, the New Balance SC Trainer. I think these seem like the most appropriate shoes to compare the Invincible 3 up against in my collection right now. First, best shoe ever in terms of enjoyment in running. I don't think there's another shoe that's given me so much of a smile, I suppose, on my face. Primex Strung from Adidas here. This is another shoe I bought with my own cash. It was extremely expensive, but it was worth it. The compression and propulsion and general all-round awesomeness of the Primex Strung is hard to beat. Yeah, I mean the shoe's 230 quid here though in the UK. That makes it £60 more expensive than the Invincible 3. The upper though on the Primex Strung is infinitely better though than the Nike shoe. I really do hope Adidas transfer this upper material onto some of the other models in their lineup. I think it's bound to become a staple here. It really does work exceptionally well. It doesn't sort of sag or give at all over time. It just stays very consistent. Super light, very durable, and it fits like a glove. I think the one area that I would perhaps tweak a little bit on the Invincible is in that upper. I know that lots of you have had a few lockdown issues with it. Not me quite so much, but I'm not entirely sure I really like the edging around the ankle. It does feel at times like it's close to sort of biting into my ankle. Just like this spot just round here, at times it can feel when your foot's kind of compressing into the shoe that it's just kind of digging in a little. Don't think the laces are quite on point either. I might switch those out to something that's a little bit thicker. Not like the ones that were in the V1 or 2 though. Those were just far too thick. Now the Primex Strung is a good 50 grams lighter in my size than the Invincible 3 and ridiculously cushioned as well. I'd say that those 2 shoes are probably the most cushioned in my whole collection, though it feels oddly more controlled, probably due to those energy rods, the blades and the plate that's featured inside the midsole. Now the Primex Strung is a raceable shoe for those of you that are amateur runners. That's probably the majority of people really. I mean, it's a marathon option I suppose if you've got strong ankles. If you're a neutral foot striker, yeah, go for it, why not? Though I would check your race route first if you were thinking about using the shoe for that purpose. Don't really want anything with loads of twists and turns, believe me. That said, the Strung version is vastly more stable than the original version of the Primex. Now, the Invincible Run is absolutely the more daily of the 2 shoes here. I don't think this is a shoe I'd like to perhaps use all the time. I mean, it feels great at different paces, but I think the Invincible's perhaps a more conventional shoe for that. I can't quite believe I'm saying that with all the stack, but it is. That said, you could use this for easy days or recoveries. Certainly it's going to make your life a lot easier, though there seem to be very few discounts on this shoe. As such, it makes it a very expensive one And if it doesn't work for you, that's a bit of a gamble, isn't it? I think if you want a shoe you can get a bit more out of casually, perhaps the Invincible 3 is probably a better option this time around. I can't really see anybody wearing this one downtown or to the pub or something. It's not that sort of shoe. That side, it feels better at a range of paces, probably a little bit more versatile in training, and certainly a fantastic shoe to wear if you're doing some longer, faster runs. Just watch those potholes, alright? So I think if I had to have one right now, I'd probably go with the Invincible 3, just purely from the fact I can use it for a few more things. And it's a darn sight cheaper as well. Shoes are just crazy expensive right now. What about up against the Gel Nimbus 25 now from ASICS? With this comparison, it's a little bit about horses for courses. Now, there's a lot of people out there that find the Invincible model far too squashy for their running. Just doesn't really work for them in terms of their sort of gait cycle. Too squashy, too compressive. Those are things I hear a lot. And people simply rebox the shoe, send it back. They just put it on and think, I can't run in this. It's just not going to happen. There's other people out there that really enjoy the squash and compression. They find it really forgiving. And it saves their legs almost and enables them to carry on running throughout the week with no issue. Bit of an odd situation. We all want cushion, we all want squash, but not too much. That Invincible Run 3 is a slab of Zoomx foam. There's nothing else to it. And to be honest, it isn't really trying to be anything else. The Nimbus 25, though, is a more controlled, slightly firmer take on that max cushion shoe. There's more of a consistent squash here across the midsole, a firmer feel, a little bit more assured, I suppose. And I think that perhaps means it's bound to suit a wider range of runners. There's a lot of viewers actually ask me what they should get between the two. I'd suggest if you do need that stability there, I'm not talking about like really controlled stability with some hard piece of plastic here in the medial side. I think the Gel Nimbus 25 is probably the shoe for you. It's max cushioned, yet you're not going to sort of sink and squash into it too much. If you're more experienced with like a conventional running shoe, then the Nimbus 25 is probably going to appeal to you a little bit more, certainly from like a long run perspective. Just got more foam here. Doesn't feel like you're sinking into like a sand pit or something. I wouldn't expect a Nova Blast 1 style compression here though. The same foam used of course here in the Nova Blast 3. I found it to be a slightly more controlled sort of firmer take on what we had in the original Nova Blast. Just kind of more of that really. Just a bit less rebound there and more impact protection. It doesn't feel as airy or as unstable as what we have in the Zoomx slab in the Invincible Run 3. With the advent of these super shoes a few years ago, it's kind of been made out that super squashy compression is what we want. That's best, it's going to be the most forgiving on our feet, but as always it's down to the actual runner, the individual. But really propulsion and facilitation is the name of the game here. Does the shoe make it easier for you to run? It might be that this one does, or it might be that this does. Does it make it easier to run slower over a longer distance, absorbing that constant impact? Does the shoe make it easier to run faster over a longer distance? The two aren't one and the same. I'd suggest though that both of these shoes are for running over distance at perhaps a slower pace. Out of the two, I prefer the outsole on the Invincible Run. Just feels like I'm making contact with the floor a little bit more. There's a little bit more grip, better traction. Not quite so enamoured with the grip here in the Nimbus 25, though I have to say the durability of the ASICS AHA Plus rubber here in the Nimbus 25 is probably going to be better over time than in the Nike shoe. It just feels like this is going to stand the test of time a lot better than the Invincible. Looking at the bottom of these, it actually feels like the Invincible's got way more rubber in it. Moving on to the final shoe in today's comparison, the New Balance FUELCELL SC Trainer. Bit of a weird one this, I picked it up and quite enjoyed it initially, but it's one I've been reaching for far less over the last few weeks. Upper fit for me really does leave something to be desired. I've had to fool around with the laces here, as you can see. Sizing's a touch odd as well in New Balance shoes for me. A UK 11 just feels a little bit snug, and 11.5 just feels a little bit long. That's what I've gone for here in the SC Trainer. I'm having to wear a slightly thicker sock to make it really work. I've had lots of comments from other runners as well who've suggested that some of the New Balance uppers over 22 and 23 really aren't working that well for them. I think the SC Elite 3 is particularly dodgy. There's a lot of feedback there where people just can't dial the lockdown over the top of the foot properly. Looks like there's less lace loops and eyelets there to actually facilitate that. I think the cushion here though with the FUELCELL foam and the SC Trainer is actually a little bit more on par with the Invincible Run compared to the other shoes in today's comparison. I mean, it would be interesting to see what the actual midsole response was like without the plate. If it was just straight out fuel cell foam here and nothing else. I mean, it could be a horrible mess with just total squash and no stability, or a great feeling experience. I mean, we've got that in the Zoomx Invincible Run 3. That's got no plate. It's got nothing else in there and it seems to work. So do we really need the plate here? In fact, is the plate actually nerfing the compressive experience that we're getting? If you just had fuel cell foam here and without this energy arc, would it be even better? Perhaps a little bit more consistent and stable. Either way, I've got to be honest, I'm finding the Invincible Run 3 pretty much superior in every area over this one. I can kind of see why it's been so heavily discounted already in the UK. People just aren't going for it. I think they got their retail price just wrong as well on that one. It's about £210, I think. Just feels a bit unrefined in its current state. Maybe they'll come up with a second version, or I think they already have, perhaps with a better upper to latch the foot onto that midsole bed. The Invincible just feels a bit more nuanced than the SC Trainer, I guess. Though neither of these are a high-paced option. I really wouldn't want to run fast in either of these. They're very much about impact protection for me. Bit more versatile perhaps in its current form. So if I'm going to rank the shoes from worst to best, at position 4 we've got the SC Trainer from New Balance. Third place would be the gel Nimbus 25 from ASICS, with a close second the Zoomx Invincible Run 3 from Nike. Top spot reigns supreme is the ADIDAS ADIZERO Primex Strung. You know, if we're talking max cushion, nothing beats this one. Yeah, the shoe comes at a price though, doesn't it? So get saving or look out for a discount though. It looks as if ADIDAS have pretty much made these exempt from any discounts. What are your experiences in these models, viewers? As one works particularly well for you, is there one that you want to let everyone know that they should avoid? Let the runners and I know down in the comments. Here's some bonus stats for you as well, because I know you love them. Primex Strung there, the most highly stacked with the least weight, and the most expensive as well. The SC Trainer with the second highest stack there, and also the second highest retail price. Certainly the gel Nimbus 25 with the firmest of the foams, and the Invincible 3 with the widest base and surface area, but also the highest weight of all four. Hope you enjoyed the show, guys. Let's have a quick musical interlude. A great track for you to check out by Edwin Collins. You may not have heard it before. It's entitled ADIDAS World. This is a great racket, lots of fuzzed up guitars, sort of heavily overdriven drums, and a fantastic vocal performance by Edwin, talking about how he doesn't want to become part of the ADIDAS world, you know, just following the herd, I guess. I think he was going on about sort of people wearing Adidas shoes casually. I'm not entirely sure he was having a pop at people wearing them for running. Obviously, he didn't realise they were going to create the ADIDAS Primex Strung, and he perhaps would have changed the words a bit. It does make you wonder what his particular beef was really with Adidas at the time. Maybe it was just sort of like a rallying call to sort of be more yourself. I think these days it would be Nike Panda Dunk World, because, you know, practically everybody in the whole universe is wearing those. If you don't have a pair of Air Jordan 1 mids or Panda Dunks, then you're just not cool. Not entirely sure what that makes me right now, because I'm wearing my prototype Invincible Run 1s, which I sawed all the foam off of. They're very squashy. Much more squashy than the standard ones. Go and check out this glorious racket from Edwin Collins. It will bring a smile to your face. ADIDAS World. Thanks for tuning in, people. It's always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and click the bell below for notifications too. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you